Today's episode is brought to you by Modern Grower. Modern Grower is your source for time and labor-saving farm tools, such as the Paper Pot Transplanter, Quick Click Seeder, and the Jang Direct Seeder. Turn laborsome tasks into free time with tools by Modern Grower.
I think leaning into the products where I think also visibly you can see the difference between a head of broccoli that someone grew themselves versus one that was bought in. Same with cauliflower. I mean, everyone has gone to the grocery store and has seen that nice, black tinged and the spottiness on the otherwise perfect white head of cauliflower. I'd rather grow those things where it's easy to explain the difference. And in my experience, and so far has been a lot of consumer education explaining, hey, why is my cauliflower going to cost more than a grocery store? If you can get the price, which is what I'm finding, if you can get the price for some of these crops that you need to get your per square footage or your per labor hour price, then, entirely go for it. And for me, it has been leaning away from that red slicer and leaning into those kind of more maybe conventional crops, more conventional tractor grown crops.
Yeah, and we're making that same pivot. I'm not going to have the gall to say that like all of the traditional market garden crops are no longer like they're sort of like losing their luster. Because obviously like lettuce still sells really well, baby root vegetables still sell really well, but I'll just say anecdotally from my experience with our market on all of our context, that just being a farm where you just pump out baby greens and baby roots all year long and you just, rake in the money, so to speak, it's not there. There's a lot of competition. I could grow all the Hackerai turnips in the world and they could be the best ones ever. But if 5 other farms have just as many as you do, we have that situation. Like, there's no point in doubling down. If anything, we're cutting way back on a lot of that stuff. And we're gonna be moving more, do more broccoli. Obviously, we're doing like broccolini stuff that we're gonna get multiple, quote unquote cuts out of. Doing tighter successions, doing smaller ones that we can get in and out quicker. We're looking at a 45, 50 day cauliflower that it's not your traditional big, bulky, white, perfect head. It's a little bit looser. I think it's like a Japanese variety from Johnny's. But I'm hoping that just that quick turnover, being able to really cram a lot in there, doing little cabbages instead of like a big, market cabbage, stuff like that. We just need to have more diversity and we need to grow the things that people want to eat. And, and if everyone's flooding the market with salad mix and salad radishes and Hackerai turnips and baby carrots, like, unless you just happen to make it at a market where nobody else has that, like you have to diversify. And growing the things that people want is the best way to do that. And so it's just a matter of figuring out either sacrificing a little bit of profit to ensure that you can get any profit versus just like, what's the fastest thing that I can sell for the most money? And that's how I'm going to be successful. I had that realization this year looking at another farm. They're a much bigger farm. They pump out beautiful stuff. And they sell their stuff like basically a little bit cheaper than everybody else, and you have the thought, you're like, dang, like I can't sell it for that cheap and whatever. It's like, but they also have a line for 4 hours straight and you don't. And so it's like, okay, maybe growing cabbages and selling them a little bit cheaper and ensuring that you can move them. Like, maybe there is an element in that. No, I'm not going to go to straight, long season stuff like that, but incorporating some of that to just ensure that you can keep regular sales going. I think that's just kind of the reality of where we're at in the space. There's more farmers now than there's been in the past. People are a little bit more educated, and dare I say they've almost been sort of burned out on some of that stuff. And so, and I think now we just have the hard work is kind of the newbies coming in to be like, all right, how can we grow the stuff that people want, but still do it in a profitable way? Like I would have never thought that people would get excited about like baby butternut squash, like little 1 pound itty bitty ones. I'm thinking like, I want like a big hefty one that's going to like feed my whole family, and realizing it's like, no, people like they have more appeal because they're small, they're easier to manage. They can buy 2 or 3 of them and, do it. Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but most of our market customers are single people. It's a couple. We have families, but the predominant customer base is individuals or small, very small families. And so having small, manageable things like that. And so, yeah, we're going to do way more winter squash, which is definitely on the like no list for most market gardens. But, if we're pumping out a bunch of little baby butternuts and acorn squashes that we can still sell for $3-4 a pound, which I feel like for those longer season stuff is a really good price, then we win at the end of the day. We win, our customers win, and maybe our profit margins aren't as great, but we're able to fight another day, and ultimately we're growing food that people want, which should be the end result. We're not trying to just convince a bunch of people that they need to eat tots away every day of the week. That'd be great, and we could make way more money doing that. But it's just where we're at in 2025 as new growers. Is we've got to find things that sell.
Today's episode is brought to you by Modern Grower, a proud retailer of the Sumi Soaker system. The Sumi Soaker system is an irrigation game changer. It offers multiple advantages for market gardeners. Even gentle watering without dry spots common with wobblers. The system is lightweight and portable, so you can use it with quick rotation crops. It's low maintenance with no parts to break or clog. It's versatile. You can use it for direct seeding, transplants, and cover crops. And it's very cost effective compared to overhead options. And maybe one of its best and most unique features is it can put down water in a rectangular pattern, which is very different than rotating sprinklers that leave circular patterns, often with dry corners and overwatered centers. If you want to learn more about the Sumi Soaker system, use the link below or visit us at shop.moderngrower.co.